We can.
All right. Are we ready? Are we ready to get going?
Yeah, so Lisa, just because we had the good doctor just join us, run a show really quick is that I'm going to give the anti-discrimination kind of talk where I'm saying, hey, this is a space that's meant to be inclusive. Any hate speech or any intimidation speech, you will be removed from this conversation. This is a space meant for everyone. And then I'll also indicate that if you would like to ask a question, there is a link on the Facebook page of City Council to sign up to ask questions. And then I'll hand it over to you where you'll do the intros and then facilitate the conversation.
And we're already live, Cupid. So thank you for explaining all of that to the listeners and those who are viewing.
Listeners, you're welcome. Yeah. I'll do a recap in case anyone else missed it. So this space is meant to be intentionally for everyone. We welcome all comers, all questions, all concerns. Hate speech and discrimination will not be acceptable in this space, and you may be removed from this conversation. If you have any questions that you would like to pose to the panelists, you can look on City Council's Facebook page, Spokane City Council, and you can sign up to ask questions there. And now I'm going to hand it back over to Lisa Gardner, Ms. Lisa Gardner, to facilitate the conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Cupid Alexander. Welcome, panelists. I want to say thank you for joining us for this Black History Month event, Black Women in Leadership. I want to say I am in great company having not only Madam President of NAACP, Ms. Keonta Duncan. Thank you for joining us. And then we have Madam City Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson, thank you so much for joining us, and Dr. Sherry Clark from Eastern Washington University. I want to thank all of you women who are dynamic and I'm in awe of your work in the community. So let's get started with this conversation. My first question for you. We've just witnessed the first female vice president in the history of America. Not only that, but she is the first African-American, Asian-American vice president in the history. What does that mean? What does this election of this proportion mean to each of you individually?
Lisa, you're going to have to call on us because we're all talkers.
We'll start with you. Well, let's start with you, Councilwoman Wilkerson.
It wasn't my call, but I know us, so thank you. Historical, without a doubt, but I just want to say there have been many Black women who have led this fight and this leadership. The ones who did the Underground Railroad, the unsung heroes of the suffrage movement, organized freedom riders. So the leadership has been there, just never on this particular platform. Inspirational, without a doubt, challenging for the rest of us to step up and continue to fill that gap and to remind us that, we are still standing on the shoulders of others who came before us. And so I feel just renewed my commitment to leadership.
I would have to agree with Councilwoman Wilkerson. But before I tell you how I feel about that, let me first say how excited I am to be here. And thank you, Lisa, so much for having this event and City of Spokane for putting this on. And one thing I think that everybody should know is all three of the panelists, myself, Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson, Dr. Sherry Clark, we all actually like each other and are friends. So that's something that, let's just debunk that myth right away at the top of the show, that Black women are friends and we care for each other and we all try our best to support each other. And so that support just leads right into Kamala Harris. We support her in her work. We support her in this role that's going to be so hard. And it's exciting to know that finally, one of us is on that stage. And so it's exciting for me. I'm looking forward to seeing what she's able to do and seeing what she's able to accomplish with the support of her sisters behind her.
Do you want to continue with the question? I mean, do you feel as though having her come into the position of vice president, what does that say for the entire country?
you know, it's almost one of those things like I almost don't want to celebrate in a way like we should have done this already. So we should have been done this. We're behind the curve. And so yes, it's so exciting and great. At the same time, it took us too long to get here as a country. It did take us too long to get here. So we want to keep that in mind also and not get lost in the emotion of the moment. It still took too long. It took too long, and we still have even further to go. But this is certainly a step in the right direction.
And Dr. Harris, what does this mean to you? Yes.
Go ahead.
I am really excited about Vice President Harris's her new role. She's breaking a lot of other firsts for us too. In addition to being the first African American, first woman vice president, first Southeast Asian, she is also the first member who's a graduate of a historically Black college to be in this specific role. And she's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which just happens to be my sorority. So she's bringing a great deal of sensitivity and awareness to the role that I don't think we've seen before. It was her voice that spoke very loudly about making sure the vaccinations are getting into underrepresented communities. That's really powerful, and you need somebody who has that type of empathy and understanding of a minoritized community to be able to speak and advocate. So I'm just ecstatic about her role.
I'll just piggyback that by saying I think it's important realizing that representation is only the first step. That's like when we elected our first Black president, we thought we had arrived. So Vice President Harris is here, but the work of inclusion, the path that we're on, is more broadly than that because it has to trickle back down to community. So it takes people to vote to get them there and the work. So it's just not simply to bring Black women to the table. Now, we'll joke because we like to eat, but I need a seat at the table in leadership. So.
And not just any seat. You know, Lisa, it's really important, too, that we recognize that as Black women, we cannot be expected to continue to go into these rooms of leadership and conform to what the room is already used to seeing. So we don't just need a seat, but we also need a seat that fits at the table, the seat that is made for us. And so that's going to be really important. And I hope that that is one thing that Vice President Harris is able to really build in this time, in her time in office, a seat that fits for her, that works for her.
So the second part of my question is, do you believe, the three of you believe, that this is evidence that we've moved further down in towards the path of racial reconciliation in this country? Keonta, I'll start with you. Well, let's start with not just the country, but let's start with Spokane.
Certainly. I think that Spokane is doing its very best in this moment with where they are right now to move towards racial reconciliation. Does that mean that there is room to grow? Absolutely. Does that mean that we have arrived as a city? Absolutely not. Our country is getting better. Obviously, if we were able to even get a Black woman elected to that high office, it's getting better, but there's so much room left to grow. And there's still places where we've got to do some heavy lifting and some heavy work. But I do think that, you know, I have to be hopeful. I have to believe that this is just an opportunity for us to see what can happen. And so this is just a glimpse of it. There's a bigger picture, but I have to be hopeful about where we are.
And Councilwoman Wilkerson, and what do you believe with racial reconciliation here in Spokane?
I have to be hopeful also, otherwise I couldn't do this work. If I didn't think that we could have a better outcome, then what's it all about? You know, why show up? And so I too believe we're on the journey. It's a step. Some of us are further along than others, on this journey personally, professionally, and economically. And then even as a city where we're at, I think of it as like a family. Our family keeps growing and our house isn't big enough. So we got to expand our house. So there's room for everybody in the house to have a roof over their head. And we will continue to grow. So we have to just really accept that and embrace it, that we have to continue to grow to make room for others. Not putting others out, making room to bring others in. So we are on the journey. I have been encouraged by just the tone of conversation in Spokane around this journey, this inclusion, embracing where we're at, and on some levels acknowledging the work that has not been done.
And Dr. Harris, how do you feel about that for Spokane? Let's just take it down to even on campus at Eastern Washington. Do you believe that racial tensions have lifted, or do you believe that it's still remnants of it?
I think we still have remnants, but like the other panelists, I'm hopeful as well. There's been an awakening since the death of George Floyd, who was murdered in front of our faces.
Oh, I said Dr. Harris.
And that's when people really, really saw what was happening. While we had to be quiet and social distance from one another, we were able to really see what was happening around issues of race. So while I remain hopeful, at the same time, while 80 million people voted for President Biden and Vice President Harris, 72 million people did not. And at the same time, we saw this rise of really hateful voices with the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys and all of these hate groups that have just really, really been emboldened and have sprung into action. So we're at a place where it's good, but we have a great deal of work to do. And I like the other panelists, am pleased that Spokane is having these dialogues. We're talking about it. We're trying to connect with one another. Businesses and corporations are reaching out to learn more about diversity. And I do believe Eastern Washington University is in a better place than it was last year this time, because people are questioning, and there are folks in leadership positions who are trying to do the right thing. So, once again, I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful, too. I think that this is something where we want to be able to put a platform like this together to highlight that we are moving in that right direction. I want to shift gears just a little bit to the disparities of African Americans when it comes to health. As we know that we're in this pandemic, and we're hoping to see a light at the tunnel with now the vaccination. I'm going to direct this question first at Councilmember Wilkerson, because I know that she just recently received her vaccination. How do you feel about kind of the stigma around the vaccination amongst African Americans?
I got my vaccine and it didn't hurt, so I just want to put that out there. I was surprised at the comments that came back around me getting the vaccine. Totally like, I can't even explain it. I know that, and I'll speak from my other hat of the health district, that the health district has been very intentional in reaching out to communities of color and marginalized people. We've had those conversations. They have responded. They are going where they are to make it more accessible to them and trying to really understand. So in that regard, I am appreciative of the work that we're doing. But the disparity still exists, and the misunderstanding and the misinformation. Ms. Kianza is going to talk to you about misinformation in the Black community around the vaccine. And so, in my opinion, the barriers are not always on the outside. We have some barriers on the inside of our culture too that we have to address, and education is a big part of that one.
And Keantha, you can go ahead and comment on that, because I do know that you are at the helm of education and awareness with our community here in Spokane with vaccination and dispelling all of the myths that are out there.
Yeah, I'd love to, and thank you for that, Lisa. I'd love to take on the honor of being at the helm, but the truth is there are multiple people that are at the helm. We have Frida Gandy, who's at the helm. We have Sandy Williams, who's at the helm. Like, there's multiple folks who are working on these efforts in the Black community. So I want to make sure that they are equally as recognized. There has long before coronavirus existed, there has always been a breakdown in communication and access to services for Black people and people of color, point blank and the period. And so what that means is that when there is something like a pandemic, no, you are not going to have a full community of Black folks running out to get the vaccine, because there is no trust. That trust hasn't been developed. The other thing that I don't want us to lose in the midst of conversations about this vaccine is that Black communities have been disproportionately affected by every health outcome, every single one. And so what happened then? What were our efforts then? What did we do about that? And so since there is work to be done, we need to make sure that, yes, it is important that our communities be vaccinated, but it's important that our health field builds long-term and lasting relationships so that when things like pandemics happen, there is a level of trust there, and people from Black communities are willing to say, no, I believe what they're saying. I trust what they're saying. There are folks in the Black community that have many different varying opinions on the spectrum around the vaccine. There are some who feel like you need to get it this moment, today. If you are eligible today, get it today. And then there are some that feel like they do not trust the medical system enough to take the vaccine. And while we want to be respectful of all of the different opinions, we do, at the end of the day, want to do what's best for our communities as a whole. And so we know that without vaccinations, our community, the Black community across this nation, will be devastated. We'll be devastated without vaccination. And so if folks are interested in getting back to some sort of normal life, it's going to involve having to take that risk and take that vaccination. It's going to have to mean that you are willing to work in collective with the rest of our brothers and sisters around this country to make sure that we are not most impacted at the end of the day by this virus.
Do you believe, and I know you probably cannot answer this question, but do you believe that the varieties of opinion is based on generation?
Well, I think that's some of it. I think certainly some of it is generation, but some of it is really based on socioeconomic status too. Now, that is just the truth. Poorer communities don't have as much access to health and health information, so they are going to have a different level of opinion as well. Communities who have had higher access to resources probably have better relationships with their doctors and healthcare providers, so maybe it's a little bit easier for them. Communities that are elderly who are very aware of what happened in the Tuskegee experiment and who, remember that firsthand from their families or, their knowledge of that, they're going to have a different opinion. So some of it is based on age and, all of that, but it's also based on experience, cultural experience. That has been really one of the things that I think is the biggest divide.
And Dr. Clark, how do you feel the tone is with the students at Eastern? Because I believe that plays into that generation question.
It does, and I've been surprised by some of the younger students who have stated the vaccine was just formed too quickly, and they don't trust it, and they don't want to be able to receive that vaccination. So that part really surprised me. Older generations, I understood the fear. I know the history of African Americans with testing on our bodies and the things that have happened to us over the decades. And I was fortunate. I ran to get that vaccination. As soon as the MLK had the pop-up vaccination site, I hurried up. I was able to get in. So I felt very, very blessed to do that. And like Councilwoman Betsy said, it didn't hurt. I was just so thankful to get it and so grateful. So those who really need more information, I want to encourage them to do that. But I think we're at a point in time right now where it is detrimental to you beyond belief if we don't consider getting that vaccination.
Now, my next question is, I know that there's no magic bullet solution, but as leaders, what would be the suggestion that we continue to communicate to our communities on dispelling these myths? Is it continuous education? Is it continuous virtual forums? What can we do to make the community comfortable with the vaccination?
I think it's all of the above, Lisa. It's all of the above. And another thing that we can do to make the community more informed is some of our healthcare organizations and our healthcare funders, they need to make some investments into building relationships in the Black community, so that as we're doing, we have to be doing those things in tandem, really, in order to get to a place where people are comfortable enough to, be vaccinated. One thing that I say every chance I get, and I want people to remember, I had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Shaw, who is our state of Washington health secretary. And what he said to me about the efficacy rates of vaccinations, of the COVID vaccination, really struck a nerve that I just have not been able to let go. So we know that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccinations have a 94 and 95% efficacy rate. While people are nervous to take this COVID vaccination, they are comfortable taking the flu vaccination. And the flu vaccination has an efficacy rate of 50%. 50. So look at all of the numbers, all of the information, and, yes, this happened quickly. They were able to find a vaccine really quickly, but that's because multiple areas were working together at the same exact time because it is so urgent. It was so urgent. So that's why, that has happened. So I think if you don't have the information, seek it out, seek out the information. And then as leaders, it's our responsibility to keep putting out the information so that people have something to find when they look.
Can I piggyback off of Keonta's statement just really, really quickly?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I thought Keonta brought up a really, really good point when she mentioned that we need investments in underrepresented communities. Because in addition to people knowing about it, if they know about the information that's out there or webinars or whatever the case may be, do they have access to that information? And I think access is really, really crucial. And that does tie into socioeconomic level. And not only do you have access, but are we doing it in, say, for instance, are we speaking in Spanish so that folks who are Spanish speakers are aware, available to them as well? So access is crucial in getting that information out and reaching populations that usually don't receive that type of information.
Lisa, I will say that when we took the vaccine clinic to the MLK Center, there is not a health clinic in East Central. That's medical disinvestment. Because when we had our community conversation, they said they would like to go to a clinic to get a shot. That was what the numbers said. But we don't have one in many of our low-income neighborhoods. So that is the challenge and the fight that we have to take on. It's like, this is what you say you want to do, then this is how you can do it and build that trust. But yeah.
And in addition, Lisa, to bringing bringing a clinic to the Black community, we have to also really be working hard with our higher education institutions to make sure that we are recruiting students who will work in our communities, who look like the people that they will serve. It's easy to take for granted when you walk into a doctor's office and your doctor looks like you. People at the front desk look like you. There's a level of comfort that comes when that happens. And so we as Black people, we've not been able to experience that very often. Luckily, we have a few really great Black doctors here in our city. We have Dr. O'Kay over at Providence. We have Dr. Jeffrey over at the Native Project. And so that's wonderful, but wouldn't it be amazing to be able to see and work with more practitioners, doctors, nurses, folks that look just like you? I mean, that feels like it's almost like it's a dream. It's a dream, but other communities have been able to experience that, and the Black community has not. So that's important as well.
Absolutely. And if I'm being very transparent, as someone who has sickle cell, going into the doctor's office, and not only am I a woman of color, but I have a disease that's primarily focused on people of color. So it helps when I'm able to talk to a doctor or a physician that understands. So I completely get that feeling of wanting to have someone look like you and understand you when you're talking something sensitive and as your health. So I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Transitioning a little bit to economic development. So we want to talk about what it looks like to have a health clinic in East Central, but what does that look like for economic development before we can even get to actual health clinic? We have the dental clinic, and that was something we should celebrate. In all of my years, born and raised in Spokane, this is something that's amazing, having the dental clinic at East Central. So what does it look like for our community and our economic development to grow that in the East Central neighborhood? And I'll start with you, Councilwoman Wilkerson.
I want to go first. So there has been a community groundswell of how to reimagine East Central and its economic vitality and what it was and what it can be. So the first thing I will say is that people who live there came together and realized we want more for our neighborhood, and then able to bring on government entities to be supportive of that. Now, the challenge that we had in the Black community is we felt we didn't have a whole lot of power to be asking anybody for anything, or not even power, access to even get to the table to say, hey, this is what we want. Could you support us in this drive? So I will have to say I am very honored to let you all know that the East Fifth Avenue Initiative passed the Planning Commission yesterday. It's going to come to council as a resolution. What does that mean? That means that has been validated, and now we can start getting financial resources to help us build our dream down there. It becomes part of the organization. It's not just a pilot, and that's a fun word these days. But pilot money ends. We want operational money that's embedded in the organization for ongoing support like anything else, whether it's parks or fire, police. We want economic investment. And the library was a spark. The Smart Library at Liberty Park, which is amazing. There was a little show on that yesterday. That for once, East Central feels like it's at the front of the bus and not the back of the bus. And so it has elevated our sense of pride down there, that people know this is a neighborhood that's culturally rich. And so, yes, so I am excited about investment. It's just how we see ourselves and then how others see us.
And I want to ask another question, and this is a question that I want, I don't know that there's a solution to it, but is it the responsibility of the communities of color to develop East Central? I feel that for so long we had taken on that responsibility, and that we're the ones who make the cry and the plight for it. I believe that it is a community effort. What do you believe we need as support to make a lot of this happen? And I'll start with you, Keonta.
Oh, thank you for the question. It is a partnership, but a lot of it is government. A lot of what happened in East Central was through government policies and action, whether at the state, the federal, or the local. So we are the recipients of things that we had absolutely no control over. And so for those things to be fixed, those entities, those legislative bodies have to realize we have an obligation to go back into that community and right some of the wrongs that has happened. But we have to do it in conjunction with the people that live there, because we know how we are. We don't want nobody coming in and telling us what to do.
That's right.
Please ask me before you tell me. And I think that's kind of been a missing communication piece, because there's people who are well-meaning who will, don't you think that would just be great for them? And we're thinking, no, we would like that. And so that conversation piece, but no, I believe it's a partnership, but the heaviest lift at this point falls on government, because that's where the funds are.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree absolutely with Councilwoman Wilkerson. It is most certainly a partnership, but I would even go so far as to say it's not a 50-50 partnership. In my mind, it's more like a 70-30 partnership, and the 70 lies with the folks who have the power and have the resources. So when you put equal weight on the community to make it happen for themselves, that feeds back into that narrative of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And we've all figured out that that's not real, and that should not exist based on all that it entails. That's just all wrong. And so it is a partnership, absolutely, but this is a time that we really need those that are in positions of power, those institutions that have historically held power, that they step in, that they say, we are committed, we want to join, we will not even join, we want to lead. We will lead. Communities, come on with us, but we will lead in terms of our resources. We need you to lead in terms of your voice and your experience, and we will lead with our resources, because that's just, if it doesn't work that way, then this won't work. You cannot ask communities that have been deprived to be the ones to do all the work. That doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. So it's a partnership, but it ain't 50-50.
That's bad math.
Yes, it is. Bad math.
And Dr. Clark?
I'm in double agreement with what the panelists said, and I think it's really important that the community has voice and visibility, that we're listening to what the community members want and that they are visible in the process. And once again, it's not hierarchical and someone is talking down to us about what our needs are, but the quality of hearing everybody as a part of the conversation and the next direction we move in.
So my next question is what advice or would you give to those who are exhausted in the efforts and the mental work and the physical work of trying to get this accomplished? And I see my Councilwoman Wilkerson, you know, you've put a lot of this on your shoulders. But what about those who feel as though they've said this and it just landed on deaf ears? What advice would you give for those who might be exhausted in the work that it takes place?
This is actually an interesting question, because Sister Keonta and I had this discussion last night about the work and about our bandwidth of supporting, because everything's important. To me, they're all glass balls, you know, and I don't want to drop anyone, but I think the biggest thing is perseverance. That's my word. It didn't happen overnight. It won't be solved overnight. realizing that I don't have to do it all. I'll be working with people, and that when my time is, somebody else will pick up the mantle and run with it. But that also speaks to who we are bringing along with us in this work. So we'll show up, we'll fight, but every now and then I have to say I'm old. So, and that's just our reality. And I think it's different for Black women because we are such nurturers, and we don't want to leave anybody out. And all that causes, I mean, we just embrace it. And so, yes, Keonta has a better response.
Well, I don't think it's better. It's similar. It's a comma and. What Councilwoman Wilkerson spoke about is we actually did really have this conversation last night, and not in preparation for this. The truth is, when you say, what do you say to those who are tired? It's what am I saying to myself? Mm-hmm. What am I saying to Councilwoman Wilkerson? What am I saying to Dr. Sherry Clark, to Lisa Garth, everyone? Because all of us are fatigued because of this work. It is heavy, it is laborious, and we all are every day being extended beyond what we thought we were capable of doing. It's absolutely about perseverance. It's absolutely about that. And if we look at the fact that we as Black women, as people of color, period, as Black folks, and when I say Black folks, I mean and people of color, when we look at how much we've already persevered, we probably wouldn't have thought we could have made it this far. And so there is no letting go. That's not an option because there's still too much to be done. And if we look back at when Dr. King, so 54 years ago, when Dr. King was marching, had he and the people that were working with him during that time, what if they had let go? What if they had let go? Then things would look even worse for us than they do right now. So we don't have the choice of letting go because there are generations behind us. All three of us, Dr. Clark, Councilwoman Wilkerson, and myself, all three of us are grandmothers. All three of us. How can we let go? We have grandkids who have to live here after we are long gone. So there is no letting go. We have to just keep somehow, doing a better job with self-care. I know that's something we all need to think about. Figuring that piece out, but not letting go is not really an option.
And Dr. Clark?
There's a concept or a term called racial battle fatigue. Racial battle fatigue. And it was actually coined in 2003, but that concept is very real. And people of color are exhausted. We are tired of educating, informing, dealing with microaggressions every day, trying to get people to understand our plight and our situation. And I always think of Fannie Lou Hamer, who said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's really, really and truly the life of an African-American female who is dealing with these issues and in these spaces that really own systemic racism. So when I think about standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, which I do and I think about every single day, it gives me strength to keep going on. And I say to myself, take a pause, do the self-care, but how dare you not keep on the fight? Because I have it so much easier than those in the past. But racial battle fatigue is real, it's tough and it's hard, and we need to support one another in moving forward.
Thank you for
and
that.
Lisa, if I could add to what Dr. Clark said about the racial battle fatigue, Black people in this country right now we are also in the midst of a pandemic too. We are also experiencing our worlds turned upside down. We are also experiencing our children being homeschooled, school from home virtually, and how difficult that is, and managing jobs and all of that stuff. But on top of all of that, we carry this additional weight, this additional fatigue that comes from us trying to navigate these systems all the time. So, I have so much respect for those of us which I think is everyone, all the Black people that I know especially. I really have so much respect for those that keep doing it, that keep doing the work, tired and all, exhausted and all. We just keep going because we have to, but I just want the world to realize that this is big, and it's heavy for us. It's heavy for us.
I have to say, Lisa, I'll leave you with this comment on that. So my mom was a minister, so, when we get tired, we sing old gospel hymns because it just gives us strength. The Lord didn't bring me this far to leave me. That's kind of how I have to encourage myself all the time. So it's a battle, but it's our faith, the faith of Black people. We haven't spoken on that, but really that is the secret sauce to Black people is our faith.
I wanted to give space to Cupid Alexander. I believe we've taken over as women, and we do have you on the line as moderator as well. Is there anything else that you wanted to contribute to this very, very dynamic conversation?
The only thing I want to contribute is to show everyone that I can sit back and listen. I'm just writing down some notes, absorbing this information. This is just intelligence and wisdom being shared, and this space was intentional, and I'm getting exactly what I needed from it. I do want to call out that I have been looking at the Facebook feed, and we have some robust comments, and they're good. There's some comments about language barriers, and then trust in relationships and connection, and there was a lot of response to having the seat at the table. So that was great. And then someone had mentioned some arts in East Central and performance arts, and they would love to see that amongst the cultural offerings. And then someone also put something that said, lean in on your allies too. So I don't know if there's any closing comments that you want, Lisa, as you facilitate towards the end. But it's looking like we're getting some good responses. And before we ended, I just wanted to thank Lisa Gardner and Alex Gibalisco for helping as we strategize on what we can offer to this community, because I believe the community is here to really listen to ways that we can convene together. So that was my only response. I'll hand it over to you, Lisa, to facilitate till the end.
Thank you, Cupid. I think that we've had a very, very dynamic conversation this afternoon, and we do not, from what I believe, have anyone signed up for questions or comments from the community. So we're rounding up this last 10 minutes. I wanted to say thank you to our panelists. You are dynamic Black women leaders in Spokane. And I appreciate what you bring individually in your professional and even personal into your communities. You're all of your jewels. I love each and every one of you for what you bring and what you contribute to not only the Black community, but the community as a whole. Do you have any last closing remarks, Councilwoman Wilkerson?
I do, and thank you, Lisa. And to your comment, Cupid, about leaning on our allies, we do have many of them because we could not do this work alone. And I just have to recognize, being down here in my position, the allies I have found in the business community that we thought didn't exist. But they are supportive. They have stepped up, and I just want to give them a shout out. And also in the administration, this is not a battle. Last time I checked, I thought we were all on Team Spokane because we want to win for the people of this city. And so for that, I thank them.
So in closing, I would say this. I want to address the comment on the feed about the arts and the importance of the arts in any sort of East Central revitalization project that is happening, and not just in East Central, in this entire city. You cannot recognize Black lives if you don't recognize art. if you don't take into consideration our love and dedication and deep roots in every art form there is, then you kind of, we still dropping the ball. We're not making the shot. We're dropping the ball. So arts most definitely needs to be included as a primary component of any work that happens moving the East Central community forward. The second thing I wanted to mention was about administration. I think Councilwoman Wilkerson made a really good point to acknowledge that we have allies in our administration. Everyone is not against the Black community or communities of color. That's not the truth. That's a narrative maybe, but that is not the truth. Because what I can tell you as the president of the NAACP is that we have a whole bunch of folks who are willing to and wanting to put their necks out there, put their resources out there, put their checkbooks out there. There are people who we would not be able to do the work without them. So Councilwoman Wilkerson was absolutely right about that. We need the people who hold power, who hold influence, to be allies, and even more than allies, to be co-conspirators with us as we move to a better world for people of color in this city. The last thing is this. This is not easy work for anyone. It's not easy. And so for those who are allies of ours, who have taken the bold step to stand up sometimes against people who really disagree with that, we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. That's dead serious, because they are receiving pushback as well. They're wanting to step up and be in concert with the Black community. So I thank them for that. And then for those of us who are members of the Black community in this city, we need to make sure that we are aware of who our allies and who those co-conspirators are, and support them as well. Support them as well. Let them know that while they have our back, we have theirs too. That it's a dual relationship that has to happen. And if we continue to move that forward, that dual relationship, who knows what we can come up with in Spokane? Who knows? The sky is the limit. But the moment we stop thinking that the sky is the limit, that's when we have a problem. That's when we have a problem. So we have to stay up, stay strong, stay confident, stay resilient, stay ready, and stay engaged. More than anything, stay engaged.
Okay, preach, Keonta.
Amen. Does Cupid have the bucket? Who's taking the offering?
No, no.
Dr. Clark will sing us on out of here. Dr. Clark, hit it.
Just to say thank you, I'm reaching out to the city of Spokane, to Lisa, to Cupid, for your excellence. Thank you all so much for everything you've done to create this time for us to be together. As we wrap up Black History Month, and we're marching into Women's History Month in March, I think it's really, really important that we find ways to connect and support each other as people of color, as women, as underrepresented populations, because as we've discussed, it's really tough out here. And a few years ago, I was invited to a Black Girl Magic dinner at the home of Keonta Duncan and Miss Brown. And it was just an experience. The table setting was phenomenal. The environment was beautiful. The food was delectable. The conversation was just stellar. So they created this environment to connect. And we need to create more spaces like that so that we can do that in Spokane. Connect and support one another. And most importantly, for those individuals who have achieved some form of success, to reach back and bring somebody up with you. Because that's how we do it in our community. We take folks up with us. And that's my closing thought.
Well,
that was the benediction.
I got the prayer. I'm the preacher's daughter. I got the prayer.
Okay.
I'll leave y'all with John Lewis. Go get in some good trouble. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Cupid Alexander, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank my boss, the mayor, the council president, all of council, Councilmember Wilkerson for allowing us to create this space. I want to thank Hannah Lee, who is behind the scenes, Lisa, to you, again, to Alex Gibalisco, to our wonderful panelists. Like we said the last time, this will not be the last time that you will see us. We will continue to craft and create space so we can move together forward as a community, and we will always create the space to uplift each of our community members because we're truly in this together. And I'll leave it to you, Lisa, to close us out.
All I have to say is thank you again to our panelists, to the City Council, to the Mayor for having us here and allowing us to have this space, and to every woman out there. Thank you. Good night.